Have you ever heard someone say, "I look fat, I can't eat today," or "I don't like eating food"? These are both very common sayings for people who have eating disorders. Some people don't even know they have it or are in denial until a loved one points it out. Today I will be speaking about what an eating disorder is. The disorder is very relevant in today's society, and some may say would be getting worse. I'm familiar with these disorders from research, learning about it in class, and also dealing with it myself. Eating disorders can be treated and are very common. While speaking today, I will be talking about the disorder and how you could treat it, along with the varieties of the disorder. I will start off by explaining what an eating disorder is. Let's start off by explaining what an eating disorder actually is. As we go deeper into the topic, we need to understand what it is. An eating disorder is different for all people, and some cases are much worse. In medical news today, they stated that an eating disorder can affect almost anyone, whether they are under or overweight. Many people that do have an eating disorder are also dealing with mental issues. It is a range of conditions involving abnormal or disruptive eating. These issues can cause anxiety, panic attacks, along with alcohol and drug abuse. Those who suffer from an eating disorder are likely to have other issues later on in life of what caused the disorder in the first place. After understanding and getting a better view of what an eating disorder is, we will talk about different types of eating disorders. Eating disorders come in a variety of different forms. By knowing different types, we could use it to understand how some people form these disorders and how to be able to treat them. In an article on American Psychiatric Association, it says eating disorders affect several million people at any given time, most often women between the ages of 12 and 35. There are three main types of eating disorders: anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, and binge eating disorder. Many people are not alone out there, even though they feel like they do. On an average, 10 million men and 20 million women suffer from eating disorders. The most common form of an eating disorder is bulimia nervosa. According to the Real Stories, at least 30 million Americans suffer from an eating disorder. About almost every 62 minutes, someone dies from an eating disorder around the world. Now that we have an understanding on what an eating disorders are and what type they are, we are going to talk about how people can treat them. As we talked about earlier, eating disorders are very common in today's society, and there are, however, treatments throughout therapy that use therapy. Even though some are lucky enough to have therapy to get through this terrible time, some others are not as lucky. There is a book written called Not All Black Girls Know How to Eat, and she wasn't lucky enough to have the proper help to get her through what she was going. Although she knew that there was something wrong, she had no one to help her. She had to understand what was wrong with her body and fight through it herself. Her book is motivational to others and is a big influence on girls going through the same thing who are not lucky as most to have help. Getting through this disorder includes a combination of a few things, including psychotherapy, nutrition education, medical monitoring, and sometimes medications. To get through this, you have to develop a treatment plan which includes goals where you want to be in the future, along with being monitored by different people. Going through this just doesn't take a few days. It takes time to get over, and sometimes it is a rough up and down path from the start. To close this all up, we have talked about the disorder along with different types and treatments. As I said earlier, this disorder occurs among a group of big people, and it is possible to overcome. To get a full understanding, we spoke about just how many people go through this and how it could be done to help. I hope everyone understands this topic more. I also hope that if you know someone going through this or yourself is going through this, you use my tips and take awareness to this and help others.